Shalom, brothers and sisters. Welcome again to the Real Truth of the Bible. Brother Raphac, Shaan, bless you all. Barakathon, in the name of the Most High, Ahch, in the name of the Son of Yeshaya. Today's lesson will be called The Misunderstanding of Deuteronomy 22 and 5. It's necessary that I bring forth this topic because too many times there are brothers out there from camps that are hell-bent against women wearing pants. So, I thought it would be right to come forth and give, some understanding pertaining to Deuteronomy 22 and 5, because what these camps are not don't realize is that when it comes to Deuteronomy 22 and 5, you cannot look at that scripture from a Gentile state of mind. You cannot look at that scripture based on the dress code here in the West. When you look at that scripture, it is pertaining to a particular people, our foreparents, all right, the children of Israel. So the children of Israel had a culture, all right, and the dress code was a part of that culture. So they had a particular dress code. So what you must do first and foremost, you must go into the research and find out what was that dress code and what did Moses really mean where it says a man should not wear which pertains to a woman and a woman should not wear which pertains to a man. Okay, because what you'll find out, all right, is that first of all, what I want to prove throughout this lesson today is that in the culture, the pants was not a part of the dress code, believe it or not. Pants was not a part of the dress code. All right, there's nowhere in scripture where men were commanded to wear pants, not even the priesthood. And there is no scripture speaking against women wearing pants. Okay, so because what you will find out is that there was a difference in the dress code, but Israelite men and women wore the same types of garments, but there was a difference, which I will go into later. All right, and so the sources I want to use, and also the source I want to go through can be researched. That I've researched offline, and also I'm going to be coming out of the Strong's Concordance, the exhaustive Strong's Concordance. If you don't have a Strong's Concordance, I advise you to get one, because you cannot always rely on the English, to have a clear understanding. Sometimes you have to go into the original language, go into the Hebrew, all right, or in the Greek if you're dealing with in the Old Testament. All right, that's why the Most High put the Spirit on Esau to put out this concordance. All right, so because he knew that the translators would put certain words in there that would trip some people up. All right, so before I go in this lesson, I want to also say that I too at one point I was taken by that teaching that a woman should not wear pants for a while. All right, until I was corrected and did some research of my own. So hopefully by the end of this lesson everyone will be edified, and hopefully this interview that's a part of camps or you believe that a woman should wear pants, I strongly suggest that you go and do the research. Don't believe me, check it out. All right, because it is verifiable. All right, and so I just want to clear up that misconception about this pants issue and resolve it once and for all. Okay, now, so I'm going to first start off with the attire. I want to explain some of the attire. Go into like a basic understanding of the attire, of our foreparents that our foreparents used to wear. The first attire was called a tunic or a katonet. It was usually worn directly over the body. basically it was like a undergarment. It was like a long shirt, like a long shirt that extended down, usually extended down to, for a man it was extended down to the little back below the knees, and yeah, it was basically a long shirt, extended shirt. And usually, men that wore this shirt or this tunic was considered naked. So I'm going to show you an example. I'm going to go into a scripture and read an example of that, because first of all, I'm going to go to John 21:7. John chapter 21, verse 7. Therefore, that disciple whom Jesus loved, saith Peter, it is the Lord. Now when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he girded his fisher's coat unto him, for he was naked, and did cast himself into the sea. So when it said that he was naked, you understand these were Hebrews, all right? So when it said he was naked, he was not butt naked, all right? He just only had that tunic on, all right? That long extended long shirt, all right? That extended brought down like below his kneecaps. That's all they had. So they would wear that around their waist at times. So like I said, it was worn next to the body, and basically that would be all they would have. Sometimes that would be all they would have. They would wear it just to keep cool. I'm going to go to another scripture, Mark 14:51, another precept. Mark chapter 14, verse 51. And therefore followed him a certain young man having a linen cloth cast about his naked body. Let's see. Let me go. No. Let me go to 1 Samuel 19:24. Salakia. We're going to 1 Samuel chapter 19, verse 24. And he stripped off his clothes also, and prophesied before Samuel in like manner, and lay down naked all that day and all that night. Wherefore they say, is Saul also among the prophets? Read it again. And he stripped off his clothes and also, and prophesied before Samuel in like manner, and lay down naked all that day, all that night. Wherefore they say, it is Saul also among the prophets. So that's another precept. It said, they had usually when it says naked wasn't but naked, like again, this is the Hebrew culture. So the tunic, again, when you do the research, men who wore the tunic, people who wore the tunic were only were considered naked. Okay. Now there's you have like an outer garment called the cloak or the simla. All right, this cloak is usually like a flap. It usually had two open ends. All right, it looks similar to a robe, but it was this cloak, the ends you would overlay one end over the other and wear a girdle around it. All right, and so like I said, it's kind of similar to a robe. When you have a string, you got a string that you wrap around it. When you wrap the robe on you close, you overlay one end over the other, and you wrap the belt around it. But this coat had a usually was worn with a girdle, so around it, and this was normally worn by men who had high status, men of prestige, priesthood. So it's basically just men who were upper class, or basically had had some status. And it was normally made of wool. It was made of normally made of heavy material in wool. It was unstitched as well. So let's go to, and also this. Go to another scripture. We're going to Exodus chapter 12, verse 34. Exodus chapter 12, verse 34. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. Being bound up upon their clothes and their shoulders. So also when you do the research, this simla, or there's this cloak, it could sometimes be used to like store, put your belongings in. You can usually wrap around and like put it on your shoulders. This cloak here, and so it was also of course it was worn for protection, during the cold season, and so to keep someone warm. Also, so go to another precept with this cloak here, because you'll find out that this simla or cloak was basically worn by Christ as well. So let's go to John chapter 19 verse 23. John chapter 19 verse 23. Then the soldiers, when they had crucified Yeshua, took his garments and made 4 parts, to every soldier a part, and also his coat. Now the coat was without seam. Remember I said earlier that this cloak was unstitched. Okay, woven from the top throughout. Now let's see what type of garment Christ wore. Let's go to now I'm about to go to Exodus 28 and 32. Exodus chapter 28 verse 32. And there shall be a hole in the top of it, in the midst thereof. It shall have a binding of woven work round about the whole of it, as it were the whole of a head bearing, that it be not rent. All right. Remember what I read earlier. Let's go back to St. John chapter 19, verse 23. Then the soldiers, when they had crucified Yeshua, took his garments and made 4 parts, to every soldier a part, and also his coat. Now the coat was without seam. Exodus 28:32. It shall have a binding woven work round about the whole of it, as it were the whole of a head virgin, that it be not rent. So basically, when it says without seam, it means it cannot be rent. You understand? So basically, when you read Exodus 20 chapter, so this is talking about the garments of what the priest should wear. So pretty much Christ was wearing the garments of a priest, because that's what he became. He became he would be, that kingship and priesthood would go to Christ, all right, because he's our king and priest. All right. So let's see. So basically, Christ was wearing the cloak, all right, that outer garment that's worn over the tunic. You understand? Now for the women. Now, like I said before at the beginning of the lesson, the women, the sisters, they wore the same type of garments, same type of clothing as the men, but there were differences. The differences were when you do the research. All right, I said earlier, and I'm going to before I go into any other scriptures, I'm going to read some references. The first one, because I'm going to read 3 references, and so the first one I want to read, and because I'm reading 3 references, I'm reading 3 references because Scripture says when you read Deuteronomy 17:6 and John 8:17, it says, "Out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established." Okay, so now I'm going to read. So I'm going to read these references. The first reference I'm going to read is out of www.christianbiblereference.org. All right, /fact_dress.htm. Now, I'm going to read the whole article, but it says, what does the Bible say about proper dress? All right. It says here, the clothing worn in biblical times was very different from what we wear today. Both men and women wore a loose woolen robe-like cloak. Read it again. The clothing worn in biblical times was very different from what we wear today. Both men and women wore a loose woolen robe-like cloak or mantle as an outer garment. That's the same garment I mentioned earlier. It was fastened at the waist with a belt or sash. All right. A tunic or coat, a long piece of cloth, leather, or hair cloth with holes for arms and head, was worn under the cloak. All right. The sandals were worn on the feet. So the difference between men's and women's clothing was small. Read it again. The difference between men's and women's clothing was small but distinctive. In addition, men often wore a turban to confine their hair, and women of some cultures wore a veil. Now I'm going to the second source. I'm going to. It's coming from www.ancient-hebrew.org 33_clothing.html. Men and women clothes differed from one another. This is because there were laws that forbid men and women to exchange dress. We know that their clothes were not identical. They were not identical, but there were some differences. But all the evidence suggests that they were much alike in their general design. All right, because they wore, like I said earlier, they wore the same type of clothing. All right, same type of garments. There are many different sections of the ancient Hebrew dress. Some of these parts are the inner garment, which is also known as the tunic or shirt. Remember I mentioned earlier that the tunic was basically a long shirt. The outer tunic or the robe, the girdle, so that's the cloak that comes with the girdle. The outer garment or mantle, and the headdress. So that's like the third. So you got the third outer garment, which is like a jacket, basically. So basically a jacket that you open up. Okay, the tunic was a shirt that was worn next to the skin. It was made out of leather, hair cloth, wool, or linen. Both sexes wore tunics. I'll read it again. Both sexes wore tunics, but there was a difference in the style and pattern. For men, the tunic came down to the knees. It was fastened at the waist by a girdle of leather or cloth. Female tunics were very similar to the males, but went down to their ankles. See, that's the difference. The only difference, they wore the same garments, only like this tunic, for example. The only difference was female tunics would go down to the ankles. The male tunics would go down to the knees, and they would wear a girdle around the waist. So basically the female garments were longer. All right. There were and still are two different kinds of girdles. These girdles are normally either made out of leather, linen, or even sometimes silk. For the most part, girdles served as pouch to keep money and other things that an individual might need. It was also used to fasten a man's sword to his body. Hence, the girdle was a very important part of a man's attire. The outer garment, or kasut, also covered one while sleeping. It was the final and most important part of one's wardrobe. So that would be like a jacket. The male and female version of the outer garment were also similar, all right, but were different in style. There were also types of outer garments. For example, women wore special outwear when they were widowed. All outer garments went to the right above the ankles and had a hood. Women or ended at the middle of the calf man. All right. So now, the third and final source is sorry, I read that one. Salakium. Now the third and final source that I have, and there's other sources that back this research up as well, but I chose 3 here. So the third one is called www. It's coming from www.sistersandskirts.com/clothing-differences.html. It says difference between men's and women's clothing. All through history, the clothing used by men and women have been unique, so that there was a clear distinction between the genders. Thousands of years ago, both men and women wore types of cloaks or types of robes, but even then there were differences that allowed a person to identify the gender. Deuteronomy 22:5, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy God. Among the Hebrews, neither men or women was permitted by Mosaic law to wear the same form of clothing as was used by the other. A few articles of feminine clothing carried somewhat the name and basic pattern, yet there was always sufficient difference in embossing, embroidery, and needlework. All right. So that was also part of the difference. Is and also there was another source that I had, but I didn't print it out, but can't remember what source it was. But there's also research. There also is there was a source that I came across that also point out one of those differences were that the women's garments were brighter colors. They were normally brighter. So not only they were longer, but they were also bright colors. All right, along with the difference in the embroidery and the needlework, and they were more decorative. They were more ornamented. So they had more designs on it. So, for example, a man shouldn't have any business wearing. Okay, say that no woman's garment had flowers on it. All right, so a man would know. A man wearing the flowers, that would be an abomination. Wearing flowers on his tunic or having some designs that pertain to a female. So it was all. So basically, those were the differences were in the needlework, the embroidery, and also the brighter colors. The women's clothing were brighter colors, and they were longer. So I just want to recap that. Okay. Yet there was always sufficient difference in embossing, embroidery, and needlework, so that in appearance the line of demarcation between man and woman should be readily detected. What makes you think that pants are a man's garment. Okay. Well, okay. So I'm going to be going into that later. So I'm not, because it's going into what I'll be going to, but going into. So those are the differences. See, in the Hebrew, in the Hebrew attire. Like I said, we'll say this again. These camps, make mistake because they're when it comes to that scripture, they are looking at it with a Gentile mind. I don't care if they get upset, but anybody from any of those camps that teach, the teach against women wearing pants, I'm telling you right now, you're looking at that scripture with a Gentile mind. You must examine the Hebrew dress code and what Moses really meant. And like I said, this which I will be going into, because the lesson's far from over. So now the next scripture we're going to go into Genesis. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 37 and 3, and then I'm going to go to 2 Samuel 13 and 18. All right, because I'm going to show you that there's a hidden word in both of these scriptures, and this is going to further back up the research, that I just read to you all. So we're going to go to Genesis chapter 37, verse 3. Genesis chapter 37, verse 3. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. All right. He made him a coat of many colors. You think it's just, many colors. All right. I'm going to go now. I'm going to read 2 Samuel 13 and 18. Second Samuel chapter 13, verses 18. Okay. And I'm going to start with 17th verse. Then he called his servant that ministered unto him, and said, Put now this woman out from me, and bolt the door after her. And she had a garment of divers colors. All right. So this is talking about the king's daughter. When you read the chapter, she had a garment of diverse colors, just like Joseph, Jacob's son, had a garment of diverse colors, of many colors, upon her. For with such robes were the king's daughters that were virgins apparelled. Then his servant brought her out and bolted the door after her. So as you can see here, when you read Genesis 37 and 3 and 2 Samuel 13 and 18, you see that the king's daughter had a garment of many colors, and Joseph had a garment of many colors. The only difference was it indicated, the 2 Samuel 13 and 18 indicated that she was wearing a virgin's apparel, virgin's attire. All right. So now let's go in. Now we're about to go into the Strong's, and go into the Strong's concordance, find out what was really used. So I'm going to go to H6446. H6446. Okay. This is the words being used. It's POC. Oh, yeah, POS from 6. Okay, POS from 6461. Properly, the palm of the hand or sole of the foot. All right. compilation by implication, a long and sleeved tunic. It says a long and sleeved tunic. So, all right, let me continue. All right, simply a wide one from the original sense of the root. All right, refs. Okay, so basically, it was a long sleeved tunic. So when it's talked about Joseph having a garment of many of colors, and the king's daughter having a garment of diverse colors, they both wore tunics. But the difference was the king's daughter wore a virgin's apparel, so there was a difference. And like I said, there's research out there. Those differences are in the embroidery, the needlework, and also other research is out there that says that the women's clothing was brighter colors. All right. So as you can see so far, this has nothing to do with pants. All right. It's all in the stitch, the embroidery, the needlework. The women's clothing was also more decorated. It was brighter colors, and they were longer. All right, so I just wanted to recap that. Now we're going to go to Exodus 28. Exodus the 28th chapter. Exodus 28, and start with the 39th verse. All right. So this is talking about the priesthood, and this is a scripture that some brothers will go to try to say that only men were only supposed to wear pants. We'll see. Exodus chapter 28 verse 39. And thou shalt embroider the coat of fine linen, and thou shalt make the mitre of fine linen, and thou shalt make the girdle of needlework. And for Aaron's sons thou shalt make coats, and thou shalt make for them girdles, and bonnets shalt thou make for them, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt put them upon Aaron thy brother and his sons with him, and shalt anoint them, and consecrate them, and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. And thou shalt make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness. From the loins even unto the thighs they shall reach. It says, from the loins even unto the thighs they shall reach. So without going into the Strongs, this alone here, where it says from the loins even unto the thighs they shall reach, that alone tells you that these were not pants, right? Because even with when you wear boxers and briefs, extend down to the thighs. So this is a giveaway right here, but I'm still going to go into the Strongs. Now, so they use this scripture to try to justify that only men could wear pants. All right, we'll see. Now let's go into the word. Going to the Hebrew. We're going to Strong's H4370. H4370. All right, the Hebrew word that's being used in Exodus 28 and 42 is manos from 3647 in the sense of hiding, only in dual drawers. All right, from concealing the private parts, breeches. Okay, so it was drawers. All right, and if you're from the South, all right, we call them in the South. We call them draws or drawers. So the priesthood were commanded to wear drawers, not pants, when you go into the Hebrew. So you can't use that scripture to to try to say that only men can wear pants. First of all right, and then there's another scripture that they use as well. Leviticus. Go to Leviticus 16th, I believe this is 16th chapter. Leviticus 16:4. And he shall put on the holy linen coat, and he shall have the linen breeches upon his flesh, and shall be girded with a linen girdle, and with the linen breeches shall he be attired. These are the holy garments. Therefore shall he wash his flesh in water, and so put them on. Read it again. He shall put on the holy linen coat, and he shall have the linen breeches. All right. Again, or just read out of the Strongs. All right. The same. So basically, Leviticus 16:4 is really just a repeat of Exodus 28:42. All right. The breeches were drawers. So the Most High was commanding, the priesthood to wear linen drawers. You understand? He was not talking about pants. He didn't. There's no scripture where the rest of the men of Israel, outside of the priesthood, not even the regular Levites, there's no commandment for the men to wear pants. All right, it actually nowhere. It was, and even so, this was talking about the priesthood wearing linen drawers. That's all it was talking about. All right, so that clears that up. Now we're going to go to Deuteronomy 22:5. The real kicker here. Deuteronomy chapter 22 verse 5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto the Most High power. Now, why did Moses make this statement? Well, when you do the research, you'll find out, because all these do's and don'ts in the Old Testament was based on the fact that the nations were doing it. When you read about that's why there's laws against homosexuality, incest, bestiality, all right, because the other nations were practicing those acts, and that's why the Most High hated them. So, and when Moses said, "No, a woman should not wear that which pertained to a man," and vice versa, that's because that was another pagan practice. Because one of the pagan rituals, there was pagan rituals where the men will put on women's clothing and the women will put on men's clothing. All right. So, but we're going to go into the Hebrew. We're going to to find out exactly what Moses really meant. So now we're going to go back into the Strongs. We're going to look at the word man. The Hebrew word is being used for man in the 5th verse and in the 13th verse. You're going to find out is 2 different Hebrew words being used for man. All right, but we're going to deal with man in verse 5. We're going to go to Ahch 1397. Ahch 1397. Ahch 1397 is, all right, Geber from 1396, properly, a valiant man or warrior. Read it again. A valiant man or warrior. Generally a person, simply man, mighty. So now that's the Hebrew word is being used in the 5th verse, a warrior, a mighty man. Now we're going to look at verse 13. Just read verse 13. If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her. All right. I just need to read the 13th verse. Now, let's go to H376. H376. Bear with me for a minute. Okay. H376, Each. All right. Trade for 582. Okay. Rather, from an unused root, mean to extract a man as an individual or a male person, often used as an adjunct to a more definite term. Okay. So basically, it's a male. A man as an individual, a male person. Okay, so really the true understanding. I'm gonna read Deuteronomy 22:5 again. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto the Most High Power. So really, when you read the scripture, what is really saying is the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a mighty man or a warrior. All right, neither shall that warrior put on a woman's garment. So So Moses was technically speaking, he was talking about a woman putting on a mighty man's attire, because when it came to war, when it came to battle, only the men went out to fight, not the women. The women had no business going out to fight. They took care of home and the children. All right. So that was the man's job, to go out and go out to war. So because they went out to war, they wore a certain attire when it came to battling, when it came to fighting. So a woman had no business doing that. So what you find out is that there were pagans. The other nations will have rituals where, like, when they have women wearing a mighty man's attire, some warrior's attire. Also, I had the word pertaineth. I think oh yeah, almost forgot. I'm going to go into the word pertaineth as well. Pertaineth. We're going to go to H3627. Actually, so if you have your Strongs, you can go to H36 and 27. And actually, I got it here. It says the Hebrew word is being used as kili, which means something prepared, any apparatus as an implement, utensil, so dress. So this pertaineth could also be a utensil like a sword, vessel, or weapon. Armor, so weapon like a sword, bearer or artillery, bag, carriage. So when you look at, there you have it. When you go into the Hebrew for that particular verse, the Hebrew word that's being used means a warrior, a mighty man. All right. And the 13th verse of the 22nd chapter, it just means regular man. And also, when you go into the Hebrew, where you use the word pertaineth, is that word pertaineth means is the Hebrew word is that's being used for is kili. All right. So again, it means something prepared, any apparatus as an implement, utensil, dress. So it means dress in a vessel or weapon or armor. So in this particular verse, it's talking about, so basically the real understanding of Deuteronomy 22:5, Moses was saying that a woman should not put on a mighty man's attire, a mighty man's garment, or his armor, or anything that he uses for war, like a sword. All right, that is the true understanding of Deuteronomy 20:25. It's not talking about pants, so you cannot use that scripture to push the women cannot wear pants teaching, because again, that is coming from a Gentile mind state. And when you do the research, our foreparents did not wear pants. All right, so there was no such thing as our foreparents wearing pants. All right. So come out. So you got to come out. You got to put that westernized, ideology of the dress code aside. If you could put that aside, you will be better off. All right, because that teaching, where I just proved is that where I just proved what your teaching is off. All right. So again, I hope everyone was edified and got the true understanding. Like I said, there's research out there. I already gave you 3 of the sources. Out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. And I hope you, and sisters, if you happen to be in the streets and you happen to come across these brothers and they try to, if you wear pants and they try to use that scripture on you, you can give them a history lesson, according to this research. All right, to edify them, and hopefully those brothers will go and do the research. All right, so to clear up that misconception. So with that being said, I wish you all Godspeed. Hope the rest of your day goes well. Take care. Shalom.